Mastering Local Marketing, episode 71. If you happen to be catching this on the radio, we're recording it on 9/12 on SEP 4, and you could actually call in at 219-845-1100 if you'd like. If not, we're going to move on and go straight to some of our topics with the local marketing guru, the digital local marketing guru, Matt Hansen. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, Jim. It's been a good week.
Are your video ads falling flat? Wondering why they're not pulling in clicks, customers, or sales? You're not alone. Many small business owners put time and money into video marketing content only to see little return. The problem isn't that video doesn't work. It's that most videos are missing the essential structure that drives attention and action. Are you guys listening out there? Good. All right, man. You guys got this. In this episode, we break down the key components of a successful social media marketing video, so your next post or ad will keep them sticking around for more. Do you teach this in your classes?
You know what, I do in some degree, right? So I was having a conversation yesterday with a student, and we were talking about social media and, you know, posting and ads and things like that. And too many times I sit down with clients and they create a video and they're going to run an ad, they're going to post something, and I look at it and I go, this is going to fall flat. Nobody's going to look at this. It's just going to, you know, it is what it is. And I provide the recommendations. I look at them and I say, you know, what's in it for the listener? What's the hook? What's grabbing them? I mean, you got to realize that this is a passive audience on social. And if you're not grabbing them in the first 3 seconds, they're obviously continuing to scroll. So that's always the issue. But I see it probably from 90% of the clients that I deal with. They go in and they just create some kind of video and they don't even give it a second thought.
Can we talk distribution first before we get into the actual ads? You are talking about a video ad on social media. To follow up our last episode, or one of the last two episodes, we talked about my digital, our digital sports video channel here. And we're getting quite a few new ads coming, and we've got to make the ads most of the time. Sometimes they supply from, like, say, if it's a union, they might get something from the international, or if it's a hospital, they may have already paid to get it done or something like that. And we do get that. But for the most part, we try to do them ourselves, kind of taking radio ads and putting them onto video. But now we've gone to more produced 30-second ads because the ROI for the client is way higher. And we tend to, if we spend $1,000 putting it together, we tend to keep them longer because of the ad. And that's part of it. We're not the greatest in customer service, but as long as that game is running and that ad is running on that game and the ad's really nice. So before we talk about that, you're talking about video ads that you pay to be on Facebook that you might post on where else?
Any of the social networks, right? So you got YouTube, you got TikTok, you got Instagram. I mean, you name it. We're talking about the videos that you produce, that you pay, or you don't pay. Even on the own side of things, where you're posting videos, realize that the amount of content that is being uploaded to these platforms is astronomical. So, what makes you different? What are you the same as everybody else? We talk about one of the first things that we want to talk about today is hooks and trying to pull people in, right? So as you're scrolling through, what is it that grabs your attention in those first 3 seconds as you're scrolling through? So what makes it different? How is it talking to that individual? What is the content that makes you stop taking your thumb and scrolling? That's what we call the hook, right? So it's got to be something that's relevant to the individual. It's got to be something that's shocking or out of the ordinary. And we'll discuss that a little bit more, but the hook is really what gets people to stop the scroll and to listen, and then we get into a variety of other things.
Length. How long should this video that you're going to post, either paid or free? Just look at Facebook. Facebook's probably the biggest for this. Or, honestly, if you put it before a YouTube video, and that plays also, and you can put it on all the platforms, but how long should it be?
I don't think there's an exact time on it. It's really, is the viewer getting value out of watching it, right? So I have watched ads that are 4 or 5 minutes long because they've got something that is speaking to me. It's a pain point that they're answering, whatever
It's
it may
about
be.
fences.
No, it's not about fences anymore.
All right, you finished the fence?
I think we figured that part out.
All right, good.
But it comes down to, are you getting some value in what you're watching? I will watch it as long as I'm getting value. So if it needs to be 3 seconds, it needs to be 3 minutes. It doesn't really matter on the time frame as long as people are getting value out of it, right? So again, this morning I was watching a few videos on something that that I was looking at. The first one was a minute long. I didn't get what I wanted out of it. The next one was 18 minutes long. It was too much, right? So I was trying to get bits and pieces out of it. It's great. I got the information that I needed, but I just needed something to get a quick idea of what it entailed, and I wasn't getting that, right? So it was all these different varying lengths, but really what I was trying to do, I was trying to solve a pain point and get the information out of it, and I wasn't getting that out of it.
So you're talking about a hook, and you're going through a scroll, or on my sports network, if it's a kind of just a repetitive ad, people will just turn off the volume, or they'll wait for the game, or they'll scroll away from the game just to come back to it if it's bad ads. Mm-hmm. And we know that. So we've upgraded the quality and that kind of thing. But there has to be a hook in the beginning. Give us an example of a hook you like.
I think the greatest one that catches me all the time as I'm on social is, we live in Northwest Indiana, and I hear, "Hey, Northwest Indiana business owner." And it shocks me instantly because it talks to the geographic location that I'm in. Now many times it's irrelevant what they're selling and all that, but I love the fact that they're calling out your town, your city. Maybe they're calling out the individual type of company that you own. I love that because that makes me stop, right? So there's a variety of things like that, or we'll get into more, but those are the things I'd rather hear that to get me to stop than just scrolling through and somebody's telling me something that I may or may not find interesting as I go into it. But you've got 3 seconds to hook me. So hook me, and that, I love that one. I think that one's classic.
I get it all the time. I watch all the golf videos, all the new equipment, all the new learning things. I never buy them because any extra dollar here should go into a new camera or a new computer or something like that. By the way, if anybody has any extra PTZs, we could use them, or any extra cameras. We do, I don't know, I think we're doing 7 games on Friday night. So, you run out of equipment. So I'm always getting hooked on different types of golf equipment that I cannot buy. And all of a sudden I get them all. And I know exactly Mr. Kawagashi, he is the best at it. He goes, "Do you slice?" "All right, there I am. You got me, baby." Yep. "All right, there it is. What am I not doing?" "All right, you're keeping your right arm too low, and this and that." "All right, I get it." But there is a hook. And then I watch the whole thing. John Daly does all sorts of instructional videos. So does Ben Hogan, and then they're all sponsored by something. But they all tell not just a little bit of value for me, but a lot of times they will tell a little bit of a story. Mm-hmm. Ben Hogan will say, "Hey, man, I learned to use my lower body playing basketball and blah, blah, blah." John Daly will say, "Hey, I learned how to hit cleanly off of a tee by putting a bottle or a ball on a beer bottle," and then he tells a story about it. But there's a story there. So it's not just the help, but the story that will grab me. Is that something that's common?
Yeah, well, the story. Let's go back. I don't necessarily always want.
What's that?
You're killing me. Pick that up.
All right, we are. Oh, in the middle of a podcast, our producer came
She's
over.
yelling at you for your tea.
You know what? She is being grabbed by Chicago media already. And do you think that they would let that up on WCPT or any of that? But I keep putting my Mastering Local Marketing mug, which you cannot buy yet, but you should be able to. And I keep putting it on the table and it clanks. That is such an amateur moment.
That's
by
a
the way.
storytelling right there.
That is
isn't
a story.
I kept hearing it, and I was just like, okay, he knows. And then I keep go. I was just like, okay, hold on, we're gonna cut it
I
out.
can't take it anymore.
All right,
We'll
you know
put
what
it
that
in
is?
post.
So we're looking for a new co-host that doesn't drink tea or coffee on air.
Can we go into that right now? I am going to Sports TED Talks in Indianapolis next Thursday, and they're having TED Talks for just what is the future of sports, what grabs people, some of the stuff that we talk about. They get the Google head of marketing is going to be there for sports. So you're going to be without me next week. So you got to decide what you two are going to do, not just him, okay?
All right, we'll get the balloons, the streamers out. We got this. We're
Yeah,
good.
you got it. You'll be able to do it without me?
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm Jed, and he is Matt Hansen. We're talking about making videos that convert. Remember the funnel. Awareness at the top, in the middle is consideration, at the bottom is convert. Okay? So you got to have a hook, and then you got to tell a story.
So the story, yeah. Well, so back to the story now that we don't have your clinking anymore.
She has never done that.
I know. I love it, though.
They always try to get
was
my
a power
attention.
move there.
They try to get my attention by waving in the fishbowl over here, and I'm
Well, no, you guys were like in a good conversation. I'm like, all right, the conversation's gonna end in a second. So I was just like, all right, here's an opening.
All right, let's
quick.
go.
All right, so back to the storytelling. One of the things that I always tell people is, I've been teaching for 20 years, and instead of lecturing you on a book and showing you PowerPoints and all this other stuff of, here's a definition, memorize this definition, I literally will provide content as to what we're talking about, right? So you say, you've got a slice, right? You have to go into a story at that point. I used to have a slice as well until I did this one thing, right? And you start to, you provide the pain point. You start to talk about the pain point. You start to agitate the pain point, right? You've been doing this for years.
Remind me that I'm shooting way higher than I used to be because I'm slicing now.
You've got at least 6 strokes you can shave off if you just pay attention to this one thing I'm about to tell you.
Exactly.
I'm hooking you right there. Like you're
there it
in,
is.
right? There's a story.
I do not want to shoot 88 anymore. I should be at 82 where I have been for 30 years.
Right? I used to do that as well until I did this one thing. And let me tell you how.
You got me.
That's the story. We agitate the pain point, and then we go into the story of how we fixed it for ourselves or we fixed it for our client. And then we get down to the back end, right? So it's this story can be 1 minute long, it can be 10 minutes long. But what we're doing is we've got the hook, we've got the agitate of the pain point, and now we're telling you a story about how we're going to solve it for you, right? And that is basic storytelling. It doesn't matter if you're doing a commercial, you're doing, watch a movie at this point. They tell a story, they introduce the characters, they give you the hook, right? They agitate you with the enemy, whatever. There's always a bad person in the show, right? In the movie. And in the end, there's always somebody that comes to the rescue and solves the problem. That's what we're doing with this. So that's why we're trying to say, tell a story, get a hook, agitate a pain point, and then go out there and tell that story.
I am not texting my buddy about playing golf in like a half an hour. I'm looking to remind myself what CTA stands for in marketing, and I'm typing it in, and I'm getting a bad signal right now.
That would be a call to action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot.
Oh,
God,
my
how
goodness.
could I?
So we need a new co-host.
It's so
email
long
me.
since I did your classes that I'm like, CTAs. I can't even, I'm like,
Call to action.
You're my 6th interview today.
No, that's fine.
So it is what it is. So I apologize for that call.
Yeah.
All right. So you do have to have a very clear call to action.
Very clear
Why
call
couldn't
to
you just
action.
put clear call to action?
I
on there?
could, but I try to keep things to the acronyms that marketers use. So.
And I apologize, Terry. I think I just lost credibility on this podcast.
Yeah.
But so what? It's happened
throw
before.
Rowan
It'll
at
happen
that.
again. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, we tell the story. We have the hook. We agitate the pain point. We tell the story. And at the end, a lot of people forget to ask or tell people where to go, right? They assume that they're going to click the learn more button or something along those lines, but they don't throw out the call to action. They'll say, hey, click on this link, hit this button, let's get you started. By the weekend, we're going to have you shooting 8 less than you're shooting right now. I mean, it's Thursday, right? Let's agitate you a little bit more, right?
I'm playing today and tomorrow.
Okay.
And I want to go from high 80s to low 80s. And all I have to do is watch this video and then buy the piece of equipment they want me to.
Exactly. So the call to action is pushing you over to a landing page, a website, whatever it may be, but you got to call it out. You got to say, and you just got to remind them over and over and over, right? Keep adding that call to action in there.
What about, so we're going to talk about something that we try to figure out here, and that's captions and on-screen text. And I'll give you the real world case is that we're now building a 24-hour sports network. And we're building it to basically start at 11 so that it could play in bars. And then you know that when you go into a lot of bars, if you're not playing last night's game, which like Marquee Network, we were kind of modeled after that. What was the game last night? We had a soccer match. We'll just play it all day and mix some other stuff in. And then you'll get to some live action at nighttime. But when you're in a bar, you notice that many have their TV set to captions and on-screen text. So if you put it there in the video and then they put it there, it doesn't look right. So what do you do?
So thinking beyond just the bar, right? Let's think about this. You're sitting in an office, you're flipping through social media, you should be working, and you're watching video after video that are coming up. Can you have your audio on so your coworkers are listening to the fact that you're on Instagram or TikTok? Probably not, right? Maybe you're at home, you're sitting with your family, and you're flipping through your phone, and they're watching TV or whatever, and you're flipping through social media, and you're seeing video after video after video. Many times people don't have the sound on. I know personally I never have the sound on my phone unless I'm by myself, just out of courtesy, right? So I don't want my wife or my daughter or my son to have to hear whatever is going on my phone. So the captions allow me to look and see what is being said without actually having to hear it. So I'm reading the captions instead of the audio part of it. I think you'd be interested to find out how many people actually that's how they view videos. And if you don't have the captions on there, what happens? You flip right past it because you can't hear it. So by putting the captions on there, it allows the individual that doesn't have the audio to actually hear it. So instead of taking an audience, let's say you have 100 people that watch your video, maybe 50 of them don't have the audio on their phone, they'll flip right past it because they can't understand what you're saying because there's no captions.
You hear that? Adriana, we've got to address this on, but I mean,
see, I love this podcast because we're creating a podcast. We're out on the radio. I've got your guys in the other room. I've got a producer over here. I feel like I'm multitasking. I've got 4 different audiences going on all at once. But it's funny because honestly, we're having these conversations and you're sitting here and you're doing this stuff and you have your business and you're saying this exact same thing. Like, we need to address this. We're not doing it.
Specifically, that problem of us putting the caption and then them put, you set your TV for that.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'll let you know how that goes. So what that really, it leads to the next part of this in that we do a lot of ads and we see a lot of ads that come to us. And one of the ads that came to us was from a bank. And it wasn't, hey, this is so-and-so from First Bank and Trust, blah, 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 come down here and get a CD. No, it was just a person started talking and that, I couldn't, and I think the first words were I couldn't get a loan anywhere. And then I walked into blank and there wasn't any graphics, just told the story for like 29 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then it was, I think, filmed on a cell phone. And I'm like, man, how are they spending all this money to run this hastily produced spot? But then you started to look at it, and it had all the things here. Certainly hooked you. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get a loan anywhere. Oh, everybody's been there, right? And it just started telling a story. This is my business, blah, blah, blah. And the clear call to action was, I went to this bank and you should really go because they'll understand your business. And then they're done with the spot. That was one of our most popular spots, even though it wasn't overproduced, but it was a very clear storyline, call to action, and very authentic looking, like that person did it in their, out on the field. They did work out in the field, and it was filmed outside. It was very authentic, but it was a little bit non-professional. Where's the balance?
Yeah, there's two ways to look at this. One, you have to test ads, right? So you can do professional ads. You can do kind of these shoot on your phone, back of the office kind of things. But really, it doesn't matter how it looks as long as it produces. So maybe you test one that's absolutely perfect and you spent a fortune, right? Like I've had clients that'll go out there and they'll spend $50,000 to shoot a 30-second spot, and they'll run it, and it's producing the exact same results as something that we shot on an iPhone 10, which we're on 16 at this point, right? Like, no difference. So you have to ask yourself, is that $50,000 commercial valuable to you over the one that we shot in an afternoon and then cut up on, iMovie on somebody's Mac and, produce it that way? Like, if you need perfection, that's fine. But what I tell everyone all the time is don't shoot for perfection. And that's probably the entrepreneur in me, the fact that nothing is ever going to be perfect. You're looking for results. And I was talking to a student yesterday. We were kind of talking about, this stuff, and they were talking about likes and all this other stuff. And I said, it doesn't matter how many likes you get. It doesn't matter how many views you get. It doesn't matter any of those metrics unless you're selling product or you're selling your service. And it was funny because he went, yeah, I guess you're right. And it doesn't matter if you have a $50,000 commercial that is gorgeous and is shot by some film producer, or you have something that's shot in the back room. If it's not producing, or if it is producing, run it. If it's not producing, don't run it. But just honestly, don't shoot for perfection.
I think that's lost. I mean, we actually had a big meeting here. We've spent 4.5 years building a digital streaming sports platform, and it was just a lot of money and a lot of resources. And all of a sudden, we get to the point where, hey, guys, we have to pivot. Instead of thinking about the build and market share and, MVP and all of these other acronyms, we got to flip.
Yeah.
We got to say right now, what is it that drives the whole business? And that is it. You got to think in terms of what's the monetization? What is the ultimate goal is to sell things for your clients. And once you start thinking like that as your own client, putting your stuff on social media or as a marketing agency, once you turn that equation around, it is a tough pivot, but that's kind of a front of mind thing that has to happen. And I'm sure that you run into clients that kind of don't get that at first.
No, they think everything has to be perfect. And
yes.
I think the greatest example, and maybe the audience won't understand it, but you can look it up online. There used to be a commercial for an insurance company called Eagle Man. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
It was basically somebody dressed up in an eagle outfit. They were on top of a car. They laid an egg on it. It was the worst commercial in the world, but it has become a cult classic. And you ask anybody that's in their 40s, 50s, they will remember that commercial.
As soon as you play it, I'm sure I'll remember. Maybe our producer, who's very concerned about the clanking on this table, can find the Eagle Man commercial by the time we're done here. What do you think?
Yeah,
it's called Eagle Man?
It's Eagle Man. It's an insurance company. I mean, I can hear the sound effects in my head. It is so bad of a commercial, and you have to see the visuals as well. And she's laughing already.
Well, that's what a good producer can do, by the way.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is it is so poorly built, but it is such a cult classic, and it ran for so long because it must have worked.
She has it already. If you're listening, you'll just get the audio. If you're watching it, you'll be able to see this also. That's a YouTube ad, right? So why don't we talk during the 15-second YouTube ad,
Yeah.
and then she'll put that on.
And she skips it.
Skip. They had poor hook. They didn't tell a story very well, and they don't have a very clear CTA, whatever CTA stands for. All right, you ready? Let's hear it. Here's Eagle Man. Oh, I know this one.
What's that?
Do you have insurance on this car?
No.
It must be Eagle Man.
I've got something for you.
Oh, look at those low rates.
How bad is that?
Could you do that in 20 minutes, Adriana? Could you make that ad? Well, they had to get an egg.
It's
You know, that's the thing where we would just ask somebody like a local theater department, hey, you got just like an egg? Maybe
Yes.
we could use it from the performance arts. They just did the story of Humpty Dumpty, so maybe they got an egg.
There you go. That's a high school.
You know, that's a good idea.
Right? That's a high school, project essentially is what it is, right? But that ran. I remember seeing that on Fox and ABC and all these other that ran on TV for years. And when I say years, I'm talking 4, 5, 6 years, right? Obviously, it produced. It became a cult classic. It's, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Finally, a lot of different platforms, a lot of different sizes. You're up and down, you're horizontal, you're different dimensions. What do you say to that?
Just know the platform that you're putting the video out on, so you know which way to shoot, what are the dimensions and all of that. I think we see this a lot, to take it kind of backward in time. When you see an old rerun of some show on TV today, they're not set up to the TV dimensions that we have right now. So it's the same idea when you're putting ads out there on social. If you're shooting from your phone and you've got it up and down, realize how that's going to come across. Shoot it from a horizontal perspective, but just understand the dimensions before you actually get out there and start shooting.
He's Matt Hansen, a digital marketing professor at Purdue Northwest. We are on the campus of Purdue Northwest in the Strachan Van Til Studios. And thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Until next time, we'll see you later. Hey, everybody, welcome to Mastering Local Marketing. And here is the mug right here. It makes a lot of noise when you put it down on the table, but I'll tell you what, it makes a beautiful mug. We will have them for sale shortly. This is episode 72. We're recording it live on 2 radio stations, AM 1230 and 104.7 FM in the South Chicago, Hammond, and Northwest Indiana area. And it's being recorded on September 4th of 2025. And you want to call in, it's 9:46. You could call in if you got a question about what we're going to talk about. We're going to kind of extend the last issue or the last episode. That was what do you marketing ads, video ads that convert. And we're going to take one part of that. We're going to talk in depth about it. And that is the hook of the video ad. Are you a small business owner who creates social media video posts and ads, but your targeted audience seems to continue scrolling past no matter how professional you make them? It's frustrating when your marketing isn't driving clicks, customers, or more importantly, sales, especially when you're already wearing 10 other hats just to keep the business running. The problem? Without a strong hook, your videos get lost in the scroll. In this episode, we'll break down 7 powerful marketing hooks that capture attention instantly and keep viewers watching. And we'll stop right there and then introduce Matt Hansen, digital marketing guru. How are you doing?
I am good. This one's going to be exciting for me because I love hearing different hooks when it comes to the videos, and I love to see how they just agitate the pain points that people are going through.
Explain, agitate the pain point once again.
Right. So I was actually having a conversation yesterday about pain points and all this other stuff, and everyone's like, I don't understand what a pain point is. A pain point is something that you are struggling with, right? So it's, as an entrepreneur, you're thinking about, you're providing a solution to somebody's problem, right? Whether it's a product or a service that you're providing. So think of it in terms of, you've talked to me about the fence that we've been looking to get. My problem is trying to get enough people to actually call me back. The fact that, options, colors, surveys, all this other stuff, like those are all my pain points right now. And, I went through this whole thing, and some people call you back, some people don't, right? And I just want a simple process. I want to make a phone call, and I want somebody to come out, and I want somebody to put a fence in. That's exactly where I want it to be. But the pain points are you struggling to get somebody to call you back? Do you even understand what you have to do to pull a permit? All of these different things that the typical homeowner may or may not even understand, but those are hooks. Those are things to get people to come in, right? So example, if I'm marketing to a local area, and I could say on, let's say Hammond, Indiana, right? Because we're sitting in Hammond right now. Are you struggling to find customers for your business in Hammond? Are you exhausting the amount of money that you have in marketing and things just aren't working? That's 3 seconds, 4 seconds, right? People stop, they listen. Yeah, that's me, right? We talked in the last episode about your slice, right? Mine would be more like, do you avoid going to golf events because you have such a horrible slice? Do you want to get rid of that? Do you want to go entertain with all the other people that you work with at these events and feel comfortable in that environment? Let's teach you how to do that, right? Like those are good hooks that will get people to stop and listen.
Ask a bold question. That's the very first one. Do you know why your website is losing customers? Let's use a real world example. We just had a guy, Dr. Rahman, out of Whiting, his Right Care Pharmacy. Mm-hmm. And he just happened to call in while I answered, so I'm taking care of him. And he has vaccines that he'll come to your house and he'll give the vaccine. It's mostly older folks or people that can't get out of the house, that kind of thing. But they do it, and they have some sort of program, and he wants to promo that. Mm-hmm. Give me an example of a bold question you would ask to get somebody's attention that might be in need
for
of
the
this.
vaccine.
For the vaccine.
Are you tired of running around trying to get everything done every single day of your life? Still haven't gotten the vaccine that you've been trying to get? Doctor, an insert name, can come to your house, can literally take the weight, take the time, and do it right in home with no extra charge, no extra cost.
All right. I think we just wrote the spot that I got to work on right now. I got to get it finished before I can go golfing, and then that's there it is. But it is a bold question.
Right.
And you like the one, and I think you're right. Are you a small business in Northwest Indiana? That's where we are here in Northwest Indiana on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And that's, I like that. Are you a small business? Have you, we got another guy just signed up for, or might, whatever. I think he's in the process of coming on, sells hot tubs, right?
Yep.
You could think of all sorts of great, bold questions.
Right.
You got one off the top of your head?
I'm not giving you the next one. I may have to charge you for
You know
that.
how much those cost? You know how much that costs right there? All right. What about a shocking statement? Do you know? All right, I'll come up. Do you know that you have a 42% less chance of getting a heart attack if you regularly get in a hot tub and relax?
Yeah. I mean, if it's true, yeah.
It's not true.
I know. Yeah.
But wouldn't that be cool if it was?
Well, I mean, let's look at it from our audience here, right? So they're looking for small business marketing ideas. And, did you know that 95% of the ads that are out there are actually not producing results? Do you want to know how you can actually be the 5%? Let's talk, right? Like those are the things, those are the questions.
So you're basically saying it to me that I could use that.
Right. So, make a shocking statement that in the next 6 months, you're going to launch advertising and 95% of it is going to fail. Let that sink in, right?
It's kind of like the same percentage of startup businesses that don't make it. Yeah.
And again, I can say those types of statements because people don't put time and effort into these things, right? They'll launch something. I was listening to somebody yesterday about how they said, "Oh, Google ads don't work." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? The Google ads don't work, like the paid search keywords and all that." So what do you mean they don't work? I'm like, "Oh, well, we did it. We put it out there." And then you start asking them all the questions. Okay, well, what did you do? Well, we bought a few keywords. Well, what were the keywords? Okay, great. What did the ad look like? What was the landing page? What was the funnel looking like? Was there tracking on it? And of course, all the answers are no, or I don't know. I don't know what the numbers were. They just winged it, right? And that's why a lot of this stuff fails, but you can utilize shocking statements that are true to say, this is what's happening, and you're going to notice me because I'm speaking to you directly if I've got my targeting on right.
We use a lot of acronyms here that some of them I can remember and some I don't from taking Matt Hansen's digital marketing classes, which I did on my MBA quite a while ago now. But one of these I understand completely outside of marketing, and that is FOMO. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I see this a lot amongst kind of the people that I hang out with. It's like, hey, man, we need to go here. We need to go there. I go, what do you mean? I don't need to go anywhere. But there's always this fear of missing out, which is FOMO. You can roll that into an ad.
Yeah. FOMO, urgency, right? Like they're all kind of the same. People hate missing opportunities. And, we can roll that up into a variety of different ways, but maybe it's a limited amount of seats to something that you're doing, right? So I'm currently planning something at the university with small businesses where it'll be a select number of seats and local businesses will be able to come in, and we're just going to have some just general discussions about their marketing and talk about, how they can improve it. But it's very limited. So if I were to run an ad for that and I was putting that out to local businesses, I would say, again, shocking statements, 95% of the ads that you're running out there are going to fail. But, however, we can actually go through that with you and make sure that you're the 5% that actually succeed. You want to come in, right? We have 20 slots. You can come in and sit with us for an hour, hour and a half, and we will go through what you're currently doing in marketing and point out the things to improve and make you succeed as you go forward. However, remember, there's only 20 slots. Get them today, right? Like, if I miss out on those 20, my competitors might be in there. I don't want them to be in there. I want to be the one in there. So it's all this urgency, this fear of missing out of the content that's in there.
He is coaching me as he's doing a podcast. just so you know. We've already talked about calling out your audience directly. Hey, are you a Northwest Indiana small business owner? You can do that basically with everything. Are you someone who is worried about your heating and air conditioning and you want to get it checked out for a reasonable price, blah, blah, blah? That's it. Attention, Northwest Indiana builders.
You
Blah,
can
blah,
even
blah.
go deeper though. You talk about your HVAC guy all the time, right? It could be, are you worried about your HVAC? All these types of things. But you could also say, is your HVAC system 20 years old? Are you worried that your family might get
Freeze.
the chill this winter? That it might go out just in the worst time?
We're at the bottom of Lake Michigan, which dumps all of its cold and snow right here where we live.
Yeah.
So this is a big issue. Your heater goes out during a snowstorm, which happen all the time.
Right.
That's a problem.
But yeah, as somebody that takes care of the house, I want to make sure that you don't need the heater right now. The heater only goes out, the furnace only goes out when it's cold outside because that's the only time that it's running. Same thing with air conditioner. It only goes out when you're running it when it's hot outside. So it's that don't be that guy or girl waiting weeks to get somebody out while your house is freezing, busted pipes. Like you could play off of all the different pain points of that. Too busy to take care of these types of things. I mean, there's a variety of ways you can go that direction.
Now, we talk a lot about the hook in terms of need, hitting the pain point. But sometimes it's kind of a more generic thing. It's like, it's kind of weird. I'm going to watch this ad just because they're curious. How do you create curiosity?
You see this a ton on Instagram and TikTok where they'll throw something out there and they'll say, I've got the secret to XYZ. And in 20 seconds, I'm going to tell you the answer. But first, let me tell you how I got to this. So we go into the storytelling again. And here's how I became the expert of this. And here's how I know how to use this. But what I'm about to tell you is going to, so it's that curiosity that keeps pulling you along and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And some people do this extremely well. Right? Like they hook you all the way through and then you get to the end. You're like, okay, that was great.
The workout guys.
Right?
They always get you.
Yeah.
And they're all buffed and they're like, hey, you know how I got here, right? But first I want to tell you something.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it pulls people along. Some people take it too long though. Sometimes you'll get like a 3-minute video and it's just like, all right, enough. Right? So you've got to understand the timing of it. But the curiosity, you're making a promise that at the end of this video, you're going to know these things. And we do the exact same thing with this podcast. If you read our descriptions, it says, in this episode, we will teach you XYZ. And it's the ability for you to understand, like, we're pulling you through. Now, they're a little bit vague in what we tell you you're going to learn, but we'll tell you, hey, you're going to learn X, Y, Z, and then you'll listen all the way through and you'll figure out exactly where we were going, and we'll give you those insights as we get there.
We talk a lot about pain points in the last episode. That would have been 71. This is 72. And the pain point doesn't fit everybody. You may live in an apartment where somebody fixes your HVAC and you don't care and you click, oh my God, or you swipe, you're done, right? But the larger you can make your pain point relatable to people is a way to get more people to watch your ad on my sports network or on Facebook or on any other social media platform. But how do you make that pain point relatable to more people?
Well, I think you need to understand your audience first. And I have a great example of this. Yesterday, I have a class where we were discussing pain points, and I gave them clients. And the clients that I gave them were New York museums. And I could hear them, they're working in groups, and I can hear them chattering, and they're like, what is a pain point? How does this, what is he relating to? And I kept asking them, do you have questions? And of course, students are always like, no, we're good, right? So I had to go around the room and kind of understand where they were at. And they're like, what do you mean?
Is that when you went back in the office and looked at fence people?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
But So I walked around with them and I started asking, I go, what would be a pain point for somebody that is going to a museum? And they're like, I don't understand that. And I said, well, let's think about this. I said, we have people that are donors, we have sponsors, we have people that love events, we have people with children that are looking for something to do on spring break, summer break, winter break, whatever it may be. You have family members that are coming or friends that may want to go see the museums. You have people that are traveling. So each one of these target audiences has different pain points. So the traveler is coming in and they're looking at the Smithsonian or something like that. We were looking at New York, but like the Banksy Museum, which is an artist. That is a very unique individual. So, one, I want to know where it's at. 2, how do I buy tickets? 3, is it open every single day? 4, what does it entail, right? Like there's all these different things. What am I going to get for buying my ticket? And how easy is it for me to go see this? Do I have to catch, 2 trains and a cab or like what is it that I have to do to find this place, right? So there's all of these pain points. But then you have a parent that's sitting at home with their child over the summer and there's nothing to do. Well, let's go to the museum. Okay, well, what is it about the museum that they enjoy? When I was a kid, I loved the science kind of stuff. I didn't like the mummies and all that. I was less about like the natural history museum and more about science and tech and things like that. So, when it comes to that, it's all right. If we go there, how easy is it to get in there? If we go there, what do they have? Is this going to be a 3-hour trip or is it going to be a 30-minute trip? Is my child going to be entertained? What are the amenities that they have there? Like all of these things that you have to think about when you're going to this. So it's all these pain points that you're going to have, or these pain points that you have by sitting at home where your kids are on their phone or their iPad instead of going and seeing something that, is a little bit more educational. So it doesn't matter what your business is. Your customers all have pain points. Your customers for the sports network are trying to figure out how to advertise and put their message alongside sports to create that halo effect that we talked about previously, right? My customers from a university standpoint are trying to educate themselves, but in the long run are trying to build careers. And our students are a little bit different because they're first generation, right? They need a little bit more hand-holding. They don't necessarily understand the opportunities that are out there because they've never been presented with that. So that is different than an R1 huge institution where maybe their parents and their grandparents have all gone to school and they're, really highly successful and all this other stuff. So you have to understand how pain points play in. And, as you go into there, as you get that hook, that pain point and who you're targeting should be relative, right? So it should match. And that's what we're trying to say. When we get back to hooks and we're putting that pain point out, it should stop them in their tracks and go, I am exactly the person they're talking to when they say that.
Getting back to FOMO, finally, sometimes people just fear of missing out on getting your product.
Yeah.
And you gave us the example of, how I could create a scarcity or an urgency about buying advertising on live local sports. But any business can do that.
There was a horrible one yesterday, and I don't mean to call them out on this, but, football starts tonight, so the NFL starts tonight. And Yahoo Sports, we host a league, fantasy football league through there, and they had sent out this email yesterday, this notification. It was some kind of collectible that they were giving. You could buy it. I think it was like $25, but they only had 1,000 of them, and they're like, "Get in before it's gone." And I'm looking at this and I'm going, "This doesn't speak to me." Number one, it doesn't solve a pain point for me at all. I would get the urgency and the fear of missing out, but what do I care if I don't have any ties to this? Like, there's no relevancy whatsoever to this. So I quickly just deleted it, right? And maybe it's something I should have paid attention to, but the way they presented it didn't hook me enough for me to even figure out what it was. It was an automatic next, right? And this is Yahoo who's doing it. And I get it that, there's all of these different businesses, and Yahoo's kind of like the third string search engine, but still, like, I got it, and I still don't understand what they were doing. And I'm sitting here talking about them today, but I just deleted it. I didn't get it. And that if that's what's happening to your customers, you're missing an opportunity.
He's Matt Hansen, digital marketing guru. I'm Jim Deedlow, Jed TV Sports Network. Until next time, we'll see you later.